Welcome to this explainer. We're jumping right in today because we're embarking on a practical, step-by-step journey through a true powerhouse of modern aviation, London Gatwick Airport. Located about 47 kilometers south of central London, Gatwick isn't just the UK's second busiest airport. It's a massive, fascinating case study in infrastructure, history, and pure logistical orchestration. If you've ever flown through here or if you're planning to, understanding exactly how this space operates will completely transform how you navigate your next journey.
But right off the bat, before we get into the nitty-gritty of terminal transit, I want you to think about this incredible engineering puzzle. How does an airport act as a massive global gateway, seamlessly connecting hundreds of destinations on such a remarkably streamlined footprint? It's basically an exercise in extreme scheduling that Gatwick has absolutely perfected, and today we're going to break down exactly how they pull it off.
Okay, let's dive into this number. 43 million. That is the staggering number of passengers Gatwick processes every single year. Now, unlike Heathrow, which heavily relies on traditional hub-and-spoke models for connecting flights, Gatwick is what we call a point-to-point gateway. It directly bridges London with more than 230 destinations across the globe. It's essentially the premier European capital powerhouse for low-cost, hybrid, and leisure aviation. You aren't just transiting here, you're moving directly from London to the rest of the world.
So who's actually moving all those 43 million travelers? Well, one massive player stands out, EasyJet. Gatwick is actually EasyJet's absolute largest operating base globally. They command over 40% of the airport's total capacity, routing hundreds of short-haul flights daily. But hey, it's not just EasyJet. British Airways maintains a massive secondary base here for both their low-cost Euroflyer subsidiary and dedicated long-haul leisure flights. Add in TUI Airways, Jet2's expanding 29-destination Sunshine footprint, and long-haul discount pioneers like North Atlantic Airways, and you've got this brilliantly diverse aviation ecosystem.
So here's our itinerary for today's explainer. First, seamless integrated rail connections. Second, terminal transit and heritage. Third, the Pier 6 bridge. And fourth, efficiency and future travel.
Let's start with Section 1, Seamless Integrated Rail Connections, because you really can't talk about Gatwick without talking about trains.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Gatwick's roots actually go all the way back to 1936 with a facility known as the Beehive. But the absolute pivotal moment for rail travelers came in 1958. During a major redevelopment, Queen Elizabeth II officially opened a brand new facility. With that opening, Gatwick became the very first airport in the world to be designed from scratch with a direct, fully integrated railway station link. It pioneered that seamless concept of stepping off a train and practically right into a terminal, setting an infrastructure standard that's still evolving today as they push toward their ambitious 2030 target for net zero emissions.
And for business travelers, that 1958 design is still absolutely crucial today. Gatwick boasts some of the best rail connectivity in the UK, hands down. Arriving at the South Terminal, you've got direct access to the famous Gatwick Express, which drops you straight into London Victoria Station in just 30 minutes. Need to hit the financial districts? Regular commuter networks like Southern and Thameslink connect directly to London Bridge, Blackfriars, and St. Pancras International, plus direct Southern links to Brighton. It is a wonderfully efficient way to just bypass road traffic entirely.
Moving right along to Section 2, Terminal Transit and Heritage, where Gatwick's historic past really meets its high-volume present.
And this brilliantly illustrates the contrast. On one side of Gatwick's history sits the Beehive from 1936. This was the world's very first fully circular airport terminal. The brilliant thing about that original circular design was that it allowed aircraft to literally taxi all the way around the building to load and unload. Now, while it functions today as commercial offices rather than handling flights, its iconic Art Deco architecture makes it a famous, protected heritage landmark. Contrast that historic gem with the modern reality managed by Vinci Airports. Two massive, distinct buildings, the North Terminal and the South Terminal, orchestrating millions of global point-to-point travelers.
Because there are two massive terminals, navigating between them is a super common passenger concern. But honestly, the process is incredibly streamlined. When your train arrives, it brings you directly into the South Terminal. If your flight departs from the North Terminal, you just board the automated monorail transit shuttle. And let me tell you, if you are navigating the airport with restless children or hauling heavy, cumbersome luggage, this is an absolute lifesaver. The step-free, completely free of charge shuttle takes all the stress out of your transit, safely moving you and your heavy bags between the North and South terminals in exactly 2 minutes. It is a textbook example of frictionless, family-friendly passenger transit.
Next up, Section 3, the Pier 6 bridge. We're shifting focus airside now.
Now, what's really interesting about this is what happens once you've navigated security and the airside journey begins.
For passengers heading to certain gates in the North Terminal, you actually get to experience an incredible piece of aviation infrastructure. Pier 6 isn't just a walkway, it's a massive, elevated glass air passenger bridge. And it doesn't just cross a baggage area, it spans high over an active airfield taxiway. It is, in fact, the world's largest passenger bridge of its kind.
Seriously, just imagine walking to your gate, you look down through the glass floor, and a massive Boeing 747 or Airbus A350 wide-body jet is taxiing safely directly beneath your feet. Because this bridge is elevated to such an incredible height, those massively heavy wide-body jets pass right underneath it with room to spare. As a passenger, watching a multi-million-dollar aircraft glide directly below you is a uniquely breathtaking experience. It completely breaks up the usual monotony of airport transit.
Finally, Section 4, Efficiency and Future Travel. We've seen how passengers move, now let's look at the aircraft. Gatwick is incredibly famous in the aviation industry for its single runway efficiency. Technically, yes, it does have two physical runways. The main runway is an impressive 3,316 meters long, fully equipped for heavy aircraft. However, those two runways are spaced just a little too closely together to be used simultaneously. Because of that, the standby northern runway is only used when the main runway is closed for maintenance or emergencies. So for all intents and purposes, Gatwick operates entirely as a single runway airport. So the crucial point is how they handle the volume. Despite relying on basically just one strip of tarmac, Gatwick routinely orchestrates an astonishing 55 aircraft movements per hour. That requires literal, legendary precision in air traffic control and world-class turnaround speeds on the ground. Gatwick's one-way utilization is globally renowned, squeezing every possible ounce of capacity out of its footprint to keep those 43 million annual passengers moving safely and on time.
But Gatwick isn't just resting on its current efficiency. They are actively pioneering the future of travel. They have a really strict goal of reaching net zero operational emissions by 2030, and to help hit that, Gatwick recently became the first international airport in the entire world to open a dedicated high-power electric vehicle charging forecourt right on its grounds. This facility can charge dozens of vehicles concurrently, and crucially, it's powered entirely by 100% net zero energy. It's a massive, massive step forward for sustainable ground transit at major hubs.
So, from the historic 1936 circular Beehive terminal to the world's very first fully integrated train station, straight through to today's net zero EV forecourts and legendary single runway logistics, Gatwick is just a masterclass in evolving passenger efficiency. With this new knowledge of its layout, family-friendly transit links, and unmatched operational speed, how will you navigate your next journey through Gatwick? Next time you ride that 2-minute monorail or walk high above a taxiing A350 on the Pier 6 bridge, you'll know exactly how this incredible aviation powerhouse works. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and safe travels out there.